So the next class is the Battle Master, or Fighter rather, and here we have at level 3 you get to choose the two subclasses, Battle Master and Eldritch Knight. In my opinion, Battle Master is definitely the winner of this battle between these two subclasses, just due to having the menacing attack, which is completely absurd, together with a riposte, which allows you to do a free re-attack. But menacing attack overall is the only one I ever used, or I used all of them, but it just ended up being such a strong ability and it dealt so much extra damage, and you're so strong. And just being able to have a target feared constantly or a lot is very, very helpful during combat, especially when you're doing with boss fights. Not going to spoil anything, but it's really strong when doing with boss fights. Also, getting the extra attack and the extra healing from Second Wind and Action Surge is really nice. So, for the races, we have the elf. Here you can choose, as a fighter, you can choose to go two ways. You can either go dex fighter or a strength fighter. Meaning you can either go heavy weapons or strength weapons, or you can go light weapons or finesse weapons, such as the rapier. It's completely up to what you prefer. For the first one, we have the high elf and the wood elf. Both of these are great options due to them giving +2 in dex, and that's all you actually need. You already have proficiency in everything due to being a fighter, so you don't have to worry about proficiencies that much. So this will definitely be a strong contender for a dex fighter. The tiefling only gives a charisma intelligence for all of them beside the Sariel, which gives you a strength +1. This might be worth it, but I'm not sure if it's actually strong enough to be worth picking overall. If you like playing tiefling, definitely play the Sariel tiefling fighter due to it having the strength. For the drow, we get again a really good dex fighter, and I prefer actually the cantrip we get here, Dancing Lights, because it's very useful for your teammates to get some light sometimes if they are not able to see in the dark, so we do not get disadvantage on their attacks. Human, it's an okay race due to getting +1 to everything, but as I said earlier on the cleric, I do not believe the human is a very good race currently, especially because we do not have a variant human. If we get a variant human, the human will definitely be the best race to take, due to you being able to take a feat at level 1. For example, if you want to go dex fight, you definitely take a dual wield to level 1 and completely bust the game open. Githyanki is a great race to take due to having a +2 strength modifier. Um, the cantrip you get, Mage Hand, I did not find a lot of use for, but it might just be due to it being early access, but I really felt like it was very limited in what I could do with this ability. Next we have a dwarf, we have a gold dwarf again, and we have a shield dwarf. The gold dwarf is nice due to giving 1 extra health, but the shield dwarf is completely absurd with giving you +2 constitution and +2 strength, being probably the strongest fighter class in the whole game right now. The half elf is the second contender for the second strongest race due to you being able to pump up your dex or strength again, and your constitution. You also get a charisma, which is really nice if you want to be a talk person. So, and being able to get a cantrip as a, for example, high elf can be useful. I do not believe it's actually the cantrip's going to matter that much. So, for the wood elf, you get the extra speed, and you do also, and that's it. So. And you get a Mask of Wild to be able to show what's called the hide easier. So that's definitely good for a dex fighter. With Drow, last but not least, they just get the Dancing Light. I do not believe it's worth taking Drow. I believe the strongest currently to take is the Wood Elf or the Half Elf. I don't believe if cantrip matters that much in difference, but the Wood Elf's extra ability to hide is very nice. And I actually do hide quite a lot when I play Baldur's Gate. For the last race, we have a halfling with the strong heart being definitely the strongest of the two, and being actually really strong, what's called dex fighter as well, because you have advantage on your poison and resistance damage rolls with knights, and you also get a lucky feat, which is completely a BS feat, just to say it as it is. It's so strong having lucky, especially when you're able to just not roll a 1. So, I definitely say the strongest race is by far the shield dwarf being the strongest, and the halfling is a second contender for the second strongest, together with the halfling with the half elf and just the normal elf are the second tier ones, and the drow as well because of the 2 decks. So, but let's make a dwarf this time. So, appearance does matter. For the origin, as long as you in some way or form, this really depends on your playstyle. If we're going let's just do a ability score first this time actually. So depending on, due to us being a dwarf, we're definitely going to focus on our constitution and our strength. So those might as well be pumped up to 17 immediately. Your deck you can completely ignore. I'd normally just try and round this out so I don't get any penalties. Maybe focus on one of them. Let's say, for example, charisma, so I can be a talker. I still think that, like in my opinion, the most useless skill is still intelligence. Due to I do not like the skills that much, and I believe most of them can be replaced with charisma. And if you just have a wizard in your party, it doesn't matter. You have your ed person there. So I go for charisma or wisdom. Probably with charisma. For the skills, let's say we're a talker, I definitely go with the noble king persuasion immediately, and history is always a nice stat just to have. Additionally, I would probably go with perception due to perception being very strong and insight also being a very useful skill to have at all times. So that is how I would build a fighter in Baldur's Gate 3 at the moment.